The lion is not the king of the jungle. And the Kenyan emblem is not what we think. My name is Mwende and you are watching the Sato Sage. I'm sitting here next to Donau Canal. It's a canal that it was naturally branching, but a lot of work has been done to make sure that it's not overflowing into the city or whatever. And you already know that personally, I'm of the opinion that the more we have human interference in nature, the more we interfere with our own human experience. It's a water body that has been constricted, and it's a water body that has been tamed by humans. So there are certain truths that I've come to understand that they have not been what I thought they are before, or what the illusion was, what we understood it as, or what the story or the narrative that was given, that is not really it. And I'm going to tell you about these things just as I remember them. The first thing is that the lion is not the king of the jungle. The lion is not the king of the jungle, and it's so interesting because that is such a misleading idea. It's a very misleading idea to see the lion as a king of the jungle when there really is a king of the jungle. And for a long time I always knew that the lion is not the king of the jungle, and for some reason I just knew it's not the king of the lion is not the king. The hunting ways of the lion, the male especially is so dominant, and the women go and hunt for food because the women are the hunters in the lion kingdom. But when they hunt, the male comes to scare them. He uses his roar, and literally you can see that the women stay away out of fear. They are not necessarily bringing food for the lion, for the male. They are literally not hunting for the male. They are hunting for their babies and for themselves, but they get intimidated by the male, and they have to step aside and let the male eat. And so I remember the first time I saw that, I was like, I don't like that. I don't really like that. And obviously, knowing that the lion is also extremely lazy, and it hunts in a team, it goes as a team, it runs as a team. For a lion to really hunt successful, most of the time lions are not successful hunters, and sometimes they can even die of hunger because they are not really very good at hunting. Usually when the ways of a lion to hunt is that it will, first of all, it doesn't have focus. When the lion is going after a prey, and there are so many different, for instance, zebras, it gets confused by the zebra lines. The line of a zebra, it gets confused, and it easily loses its target. Again, when it's running after prey, it can't keep to one prey. It always is looking for the one that is not running it's an opportunist, let me say. So that if it's running after prey and there's one that looks weaker, it stops running after the target it had and goes after the weaker one. So someone might look at that and see, okay, that is strategy, but still it means that it's an opportunistic hunter. Again, the lion does actually go after babies, so it goes to the weakest. It goes after the weakest in its prey. So when it wants to kill, many times it will go after the babies in the herd, because they are the ones that probably will not be able to run as fast. And of course, when the mother is protecting the baby and they are protecting their lives, it can be very challenging, and so they go for the weakest link. And so all these are qualities that are not a quality of a king. A king who is an opportunistic, who is not a protector, who goes after the weaklings, is not the kind of a king, and the one who is using the energy of his own people, you know. So the ladies, the women, go hunting, and he really uses intimidation to take their food. So for me, I never quite bought the idea. I just never felt it. It's like how I mentioned in a previous video that we are usually all knowing. You know something, even sometimes when somebody tells you, like when I tell you this, if you feel like you really agree with what I'm saying, it's not that I've told you something new. This is something that you already knew and you always knew. You just got reminded, you know. It's just a reminder. And so for a long time I thought the Kifaru is a king and is a king of the jungle. The Kifaru is a rhinoceros. We call it Kifaru in my language. Mbusia. We call it Mbusia or Kifaru. Kifaru is Swahili, Mbusia is in Campa. And so Kifaru is the one that I thought, the rhino is the one I thought is a king. And especially I thought is a king because it is one animal that is not preyed on. You will not find an animal that's going after a Kifaru. And usually a Kifaru is the protector. He is he's the one that is protecting anyone. If there is someone, if the rhino is present and you're getting attacked, and there is a lion that's attacking another animal, easily the Kifaru will go and will scare off the lion or whatever. So it kind of is a protector of whoever is in its surroundings. So I thought for a long time that is the king of the jungle, and maybe that's a king of the jungle, but I was reminded by one Zamlek Giza, Mkulu Zamlek Giza, during a TikTok live, and I like how he responded, because someone in the live said something like the grandchildren of the person who was saying when they hear the voice of Zamlek Giza, they think of him as Rafiki. If you've watched Lion King, you know that the movie Lion King, there is the monkey that's called the Rafiki, and so it's kind of the one that is like the prophet, the seer. And so the guy was like, Rafiki? He just had no idea what this lady was talking about. And we are telling him in the live, yeah, Rafiki, that's from the movie Lion King. Is like, Lion King? He had never seen it. And I thought that's so incredible. I just like it when such a knowledgeable person is not in the spaces that the mainstream spaces, and they are so knowledgeable. They're not in the mainstream spaces. Yeah, I don't know how to explain that. And so he had never seen this movie. He's probably heard of it, And so he said, that's when he said, this, whatever is called the Lion King, the lion is not the king. And I was like, wait a minute, I thought the lion was never the king of the jungle. And he said that the leopard is the king of the jungle. Think about it. There is no African king, human king, that wore the skin of a lion. A king and the leader or a king in an African setting would wear the hide of a leopard, right? That is the depiction of a king. That's when you know this is a king. The rest of the people will wear different hides, but the king is wearing the hide of a leopard. The leopard is a king. And when you really think about the leopard, first of all, look at the way they're hunting, how the leopard hunts. First of all, the leopard hunts alone. The leopard is not fed by the women. The women hunt and they feed their own children. There is no one who's coming to take the food, like in the Lion King, the lion community. He hunts alone, and the leopard is one of the most successful hunters in the jungle. Usually, the leopard is so successful in its hunting because it comes extremely close to the prey. It doesn't start running. It comes extremely close to the prey, and it's able to it's called what? It's able to tiptoe and to creep on its prey so close, because first of all, they're called what? The madoadoa. How do you call madoadoa? The patches, the round, the little dots on it. I don't know how you call it. We call it madoadoa. Of the skin, it's so hard for animals to see it, because animals see best when another animal is just like one color, but when it has different colors, it's so hard to see it, and it's camouflaged so much in nature. And also it moves. Whenever the leopard is moving, it's like you only see the blades of its arms moving. The rest of the body, you don't see the movement. It is such a smooth mover when it's going for its prey. And then it goes, whenever the leopard, unlike the lion, when it picks its target, first of all, it never goes for the weakest. The leopard does not hunt the weakest. The leopard picks its target, its prey. Whichever which way it decides this is my prey, it picks that and goes after it and runs after it and doesn't get distracted or trying to take an opportunity. Literally, when the leopard is hunting, when you're not the target, you can literally stand there and watch it go after its target. But when you're the target, it doesn't matter. It will go after you, and it will come and it will get you. Right? The leopard is a protector. The leopard never goes after the leopard never goes after vulnerable animals. It never goes after. The light has really changed, actually. It's extremely different light. I don't know if you can see it. Is it a different light, or it's me who's just been staring at the reflection of the sun in the water? I actually don't know exactly if it's me who's seeing a lot of it's like the light looks very warm right now. Anyway, so the leopard never goes after the weakling. It will not go after the sick, the animal that is sick. It never goes after. when it makes a target, it's deciding the target based on what it wants. So there's one video I saw where the leopard was actually going after a mother and this mother was like had just given birth or was just in the process of giving birth, and the leopard decided that's what he's going for. So this deer or this whatever animal just dropped the baby on the ground and took off. The leopard came. By the time it arrived there, it's a baby, it's a newborn, and it's thinking, whoa, I can't just leave this baby here. The leopard adopted the baby and took care of this baby. I'm just it's so incredible that I see so much yellow. Maybe it's because I've been looking, I don't know, let me not. I will know if what I'm seeing is just me seeing, or I will know it when I look at the video later. But anyway, yeah, the leopard actually adopted this baby, and this baby, the baby of an antelope, grew up being brought up by a leopard. You know, I can tell you so many things about the leopard that really give it the position of a king, the king of the jungle. So the king of the jungle is not the lion. But how is it that we have the narrative that the king of the jungle is the lion? That's a colonial narrative. And before you go ahead and say, oh my goodness, now colonialism again. Listen. The lion is actually a totem. Is a totem that's used by the colonizer. You know, when you look at the Roman, and this is something that Mkulu brought to my attention as well. And you will see a lot of the Roman statues and architecture. Even here in Vienna, you'll see a lot of lions depicted in one way or the other. When you go to the biblical, because when you go to the biblical narratives, the ones that have been used for colonization, you'll find that they talk about the Lion of Judah. They talk about the Lion of Judah. So the colonizer has really uplifted the wrong king of the jungle. That's not the king of the jungle. It has uplifted a very colonial kind of totem for us to call the king. But really the lion is not the king. The lion is an opportunist. He feeds where he has not, he feeds on the energy of his own. That's really the ways of a colonizer. You know, the lion is an opportunistic. He will eat whatever. He will go after whatever. He's not a protector, you know. And he uses intimidation. The lion totem uses intimidation to control, to have dominance. It uses intimidation to dominate. So how is it that the male is able to cause the female to give up a food that they've worked so hard for? And they are not really that good of hunters, you know. So also the lion depends so much on group work. The lion totem depends on the group work. So the whole aspect of individuality is lost. So let's really rethink what exactly it is when we say that the lion is the king of the jungle, because that's not the king. The king was swapped. The lion is not the king of the jungle. The leopard is. And we know it's a leopard because we see what the indigenous African kings called the king. The emblem, the Kenyan emblem, if you are identifying as a Kenyan or you are living in the country they call Kenya, or you're from there, pay attention. The emblem is actually a colonial emblem. If you understand that we have said that the lion totem is a colonizer totem, think about what the lion is doing to the weapons of the Maasai, because the Maasai, you will see a shield, and the arrow of the Maasai is actually engulfed by the lions. And you know, the Maasai were really is one of the ethnic groups that was the intention of the British in Kenya during colonialism was to wipe out the Maasais. The fact that the Maasais exist today is a testament of the resilience of the Maasai people. But you see, the two lions, the totem of the colonizer totem, are engulfing and almost, I don't know how I can say it, it's almost like they are the ones in control of the Maasai weaponry. The Nilots. The Nilots usually fight using a spear, and it's called what? The spear and the shield. The Bantus use the arrow and the bow and arrow. The Maasais were the ones, and the Nilots, the Kalenjins, these are the people that completely, it's called what? My goodness, the English. They rejected, let me just say rejected, there's a better word, there's a better English word. But they are the ones that completely defied the colonizer in Kenya. The Campa people, who are really good arranged military amongst the Bantu, were so compromised. The Campas, a lot of them got so compromised because they aligned themselves with the British. And that was something that the Campa leaders did against the prophecy. You see, the Siokemao was a prophet that warned the Campa people about the British and said that these people are coming for our own downfall and catastrophe. Then the leaders said, okay, if these people are going to defeat us, then we are better off aligning with them because they can help us to fight our enemies. So the Campa people a lot of them aligned themselves with the colonizer. All this you hear, if you really follow the colonial history in Kenya, you'll hear about people that were called Askari. Askari, these were the these mostly were the Campa people. The Kikuyu people resisted the colonizer, and we know that the Kikuyus were defeated using religion eventually. They were defeated using Christianity, because the division that happened amongst the Kikuyu or the Gema people was especially using the missionary work. So you had a whole group of people that were distancing and separating themselves from the actual Kikuyus who were resisting the colonizer. And these others had been turned into Christians, and they were going to the schools, and if you want to attend to the schools and you want to go to the hospitals, you had to convert to become a Christian. So the reason why the Kikuyus could not fully resist, we have the story of the Mau Mau, but we know that it is the Kikuyus that betrayed the Kikuyus. Like I don't know how I can say that the British actually used division, the divide and rule, using Christianity to demonize the Kikuyus. And the funny thing is that up to date, Kikuyus are hated in Kenya. We don't know why we hate Kikuyus, but this hatred comes from the propaganda, the colonial propaganda against the Kikuyu people. So we turned against the Kikuyus that were trying to resist the colonizer. But the Bantus, the people that, the bow and arrow was no longer a problem for the British. It was not, it's something that they crushed using religion. The bow and arrow, the weapon, the bow and arrow. The Campas used to use some of the worst poison you can imagine. When the arrow gets you, you die. You die instantly. So the weapon that really was a huge challenge for the colonizer was the spear and the shield, because the Nilots are the ones that completely refuse to bow to the colonizer. And you know what? When you listen to the history, the colonial history that's given, because most of the time it's the British media that used to give the story. The British didn't know the difference between the Kikuyus, the Kalenjins, the Pokots, the Kambas. They really did not really know. Everybody was being called a Kikuyu. But a lot of resistance was done by the Kalenjins, the Pokots, the Nilots. And so the fact that you have these two lions standing and actually looking like they've overpowered the weaponry that was a problem for the colonizer. It's a bad thing. And then look at what is under the lions. What are the lions standing on? They are stepping on the colonial crops. You can see pyrethrum, you can see the corn, you can see coffee, you can see tea, all the things that the colonizer is taking away from the land and taking it to Europe. They are the ones that are in the emblem, the Kenyan emblem. Listen. Listen. The Kenyan emblem on the flag is a colonizer, and that's why I always say that Kenya is a colonizer. The Kenyan government is now colonizing the people. People like me, we were not colonized by the British. We are colonized by the government of Kenya, because it's still the British government. It's still the British administration in Kenya. Think about that. I can see it's already 30 minutes, so let me stop here. I still have more things that I think are upside down, but for now, let's stick with the two for this video. The lion is not the king of the jungle. And actually, I think it's only one. The lion is not the king of the jungle, because that is what ties in with the emblem, the Kenyan emblem. I thought there were two, but it's still just one. The Kenyan emblem is not what we think. My name is Mwende, and you are watching The Sato Sage.